Alright guys, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about 5 things that I've started doing that have helped me out in all aspects of my life, whether that's work, school, or even my hobbies like YouTube. It's allowed me to feel better about myself and better about the way I do things. So I think these tips can help anybody, but specifically if you're somewhere between like 15, maybe 26, I think these tips will be perfect for you. You know, I'm almost 21, so maybe if you're 40, 50, something like that, these tips won't quite resonate with you as well. But I think pretty much anyone can take away at least a couple things from these tips. So we have 5 things going on today. I do want to shout out my sponsor for this video, Manscaped. We will be talking about them later. They fit perfectly within the topic of this video, so I couldn't have picked a better sponsor for that, but we will get there. So we will be talking about these 5 things in no particular order. None is really better than any of the other ones. Some of them are pretty generic, and then some of them are going to be rather specific that probably most people don't think about, but it's very important to start thinking about and maybe potentially picking up into your daily life. So let's start with number 1. So the first thing that I do want to talk about is pretty basic. It's something that everybody's heard a million times over, but start going to the gym. If you're overweight and you need to lose weight, that's one reason to go. If you're skinny and want to gain muscle, that's another reason to go. But those things aside, even if you're just going and say you're already pretty fit and you're not really looking to get too much bigger or anything, it just helps ease your mind, whether that's de-stressing, letting out anger, or just kind of keeping yourself occupied. It's something that I found to be very, very important and something that I will really never stop doing again because it allows you to stay healthy both mentally and physically. So, of course, whether that be going for gaining strength, that's kind of what I'm trying to do. You know, I've been working on growing muscle and getting a little bit bigger in that sense for the last few years, and I've enjoyed kind of the journey that I've been going on. It's been tough sometimes as well, though, because it's tough to manage everything, and sometimes when you're not feeling too well, it's easy to want to skip out on the gym because it is something that you have to have motivation for and you have to want to keep doing. But once you start going, it's pretty easy to stay in that habit. So I would just say, if you haven't started going before, if you've never touched the gym, you really should think about getting in there. And then once you're there, you'll realize how easy it is to pick up a routine. If you even don't want to start off with an initial 10 days straight, at least just try to go, I'm going to make it twice a week, every single Monday and every single Thursday. And if you can stick to that, you'll definitely notice that it gets easier and easier to follow that schedule. And you'll probably will even realize that you like having that schedule in your life, especially for something like exercising. You know, scientifically, you are releasing endorphins, so it just does make you feel better mentally. And then, of course, it doesn't hurt to start looking better physically as well. Everybody wants to look a little bit better, so it's kind of a win-win. People say it all the time, but if you haven't really put effort into it, you need to give it a go. And if you have tried it before, it's time to get back started with it again. And if you're already going, perfect for you, keep it up because it's something that you'll always appreciate pretty much for the rest of your life. Staying fit is something to always value. And the next topic of this video is about personal hygiene, grooming, and the products that you use. We will talk in detail more about that, but I do want to mention that the sponsor of this video is Manscaped.com, and I actually have an amazing deal running with them as well. If you do use my code BOOTS20 at checkout, you will get 20% off, plus free shipping and 2 free gifts if you order the new Perfect Package 3.0. And this is what I received, guys. It has some amazing products that I truly do back, like seriously, and a lot of the time some of this stuff is just he says, she says, but this product is something that I've used. I've used a lot of their stuff so far, and every single thing that I've used, I've actually loved. Now, what you will see in here is actually including the Lawnmower 3.0. It's one of their newest products. It's a shaver, and I was actually one of the first people in the world to get this. They kind of sent this to me early, so I've been testing it and using it, and it's unbelievable, guys. And some of the amazing features about the Lawnmower 3.0 is it literally has an LED little flashlight on it as well. So that means that sometimes when it's hard to see those angles and the lighting is a little bit off, you actually literally have a flashlight on it that actually shines and allows you to see what you're doing perfectly. Not only that, it's basically impossible to cut yourself. Like, that's actually kind of why this company was founded. They wanted to make things that made it so that you could get really close to the skin and clean up everything perfectly without really having to worry about cutting yourself. And it's literally true. Like, I've used it and it works perfectly fine and no issues with that whatsoever, which is kind of amazing because that's something that you're always worried about. You're always thinking about in the back of your head that kind of stresses you out. But that's something nice. Like, who doesn't want that? And not only that, actually the dock that it comes in, I actually like a lot. I think it looks really clean and allows for a good look, especially in your bathroom. Sometimes you just have the weird cord hanging down and then you don't know where to set your shaver or it might be wobbling around. But the package here actually does include a nice stand for it as well. So there's just a lot of good features in there as well. Not only that, I did get the boxers, I got a shirt, all sorts of stuff. So really big shout out to Manscaped for sending me this stuff. And you know, I've always tried to take decent care of myself, whether that be washing my hair. I never let it really get greasy. I always am very picky about that. I like to make sure I'm looking clean and healthy. And even things like, of course, brushing my teeth all the time and trying to wash my face, make sure things like that. But then you start looking at the further details. And if you're thinking about things like cologne, you're thinking about things like body hair and your type of deodorant that you're using. And sometimes you just kind of fall in line with patterns, and it's repetitive and it's boring and it's stuff that everybody else is doing. And you need to really make sure you're taking care of yourself in all those fine details as well. And what Manscaped does is they provide all sorts of products like that that are fine-tuned for men. That's just perfect, because sometimes it's things that you don't really want to talk about. Sometimes it's things that you don't really deal with too often because it can be tricky or whatever. But Manscaped is a company designed for that, which I really do appreciate, because sometimes, you know, you don't really want to focus on that stuff, but they just kind of take care of it under the table. Now, guys, the next thing that I've started doing, this is actually very recent, within the last month or so. I've actually downloaded an app that tracks all the things you eat in terms of calories, fat, sugar, whatever it might be, all the nutritional aspects of your food. And this is something that I didn't think about for a long time. It's kind of weird, because I was trying to build muscle, I was going to the gym, I was worrying about what I was eating, but I didn't really track everything, and I hadn't realized exactly what I was eating. And sometimes, you know, you think you're eating a lot, and you're actually not eating nearly as much as you should be if you're trying to gain muscle. And if you're eating, you know, if you're trying to lose weight, sometimes it's very easy to go over. So I don't use it every day by any means, but what I try to do is I try to pick like kind of a day out of my week, and I'll just track everything I eat. And you can be very, very surprised at kind of what you're putting in your body without even realizing it. You know, whether that's too much sugar or not enough protein, whatever it might be, you kind of look at a day and think, oh, you know, I actually missed the mark big time there. And you don't need to do it every day, because if you're doing it once a week, you can kind of realize, oh, based, you know, the rest of the week off what I did that day. So if I'm thinking back to all those calories counted and how everything broke down, this is kind of what I should be looking at. Remember, you know, I didn't eat that much that day, so I should probably boost up this more. And it just kind of sets a nice benchmark for the week going forward, what you should be thinking about kind of in the back of your head. It's not something you have to pull out every single time after you eat anything ever, but just try to pick a day, maybe even once every 2 weeks, just to kind of see what you're doing. And it allows you to feel a lot better, because once I kind of started doing that, I realized that I need a little bit more of this, I need a little bit more of that, especially things like vitamins, and you just do feel better about yourself after you're taking care of your body like that. So the next thing I want to talk about is pretty open-ended, because it's just about starting a hobby or keeping your hobby. It's very important to have something that's pretty much unique to you. Even if a lot of other people are doing it, it's something that you know you like, you know that you can do really well at and continue progressing at. So for instance, YouTube is one of those for me. I love doing YouTube. You know, whether or not I'm making millions of dollars, that doesn't matter. It's something that I like to do, and I'm going to keep working to get better and better at. And it's something that you can grow. It's something you can feel proud of, and it's important to have those things that you can keep working on. Another thing that I've started getting into over the past year and a half, 2 years, is the stock market. You know, it's something that I've been interested in since I was young. And, you know, even if you're 16, you can absolutely still get into this stuff. You can start learning this stuff. You know, depending on if your parents are cool with it, you can even start working on it now. But if you're older, of course, you know, there's no time like now just to start looking at this stuff. It's something that I thought about, and I just thought it was overwhelming. But you have to start somewhere. You can start small and start building up and building up. And that can be true of anything, whether that's woodworking, metalworking, anything you want. You know, it all just starts, maybe look up a YouTube video. You start looking at it once a night, you watch another video. Another night, you watch another video. And you'll realize it's really easy to kind of get into something, and it's exciting to learn more things. And I would say, just for keeping yourself happy, keeping yourself feeling like you're moving forward, and you're kind of not stalling at any point, because that's something that's very easy. I would say, especially as a guy, you're always expected to kind of be good at something or providing something. So to kind of be working at something, you kind of feel accomplished in yourself and like you're actually going somewhere. So now this one, I would say, is definitely a bit different from what you'll hear on most advice videos, just because it's a little bit deeper, but like, you need to be making sure you're taking care of yourself medically. So, you know, whether that be the dentist, going to the doctor for a physical, you know, if something's wrong with you, or if you're having some questions about something, you need to make sure you can be able to ask those questions and get it fixed out and get it checked out. So, you know, sometimes you might be having a problem, you might be feeling sick, and it's just going to get worse and worse if you keep putting it off, you know, whether that's your tooth hurting. And I know sometimes financially people are limited, but it's important to at least be looking at things, you know, whether that's online, looking things up, to try to figure out for yourself Is this something that I should be more worried about? Is this something that I can fix by myself? Because a lot of problems, maybe not dentist problems, but other things can be fixed through just working on it. Whether that's something in your shoulder that's really been hurting, if you take time to learn how to do exercises about stretching, or to learn to pick up a device like, for instance, a TENS unit. It's something that I use on my back because I actually hurt my back a while ago, and that was at the gym. And it's something that I didn't really just put behind and just work through the pain. Of course, to a certain extent, you do have to do that. But I was learning stretches, I was learning things. I looked up a bunch of YouTube videos trying to fix something, trying to learn how to make my back feel better again. And it is worrisome because you don't want to be dragging this weight on other people all the time. But it's okay to do that sometimes too if you have those resources. And if you don't, make sure you're taking care of yourself by looking it up online. Figuring out, can you buy a $20 thing on Amazon that'll actually help your back? And what the TENS unit is, just for a quick example, it kind of sends electrical pulses through little pads on your back to kind of stimulate the muscle and help me a ton. And it's just something as simple as that, where if you're not asking questions and not figuring things out, you might never hear about it. And my back would be hurting a lot more if I hadn't just found a simple thing on Amazon like that. So just make sure you're going to your appointments. If you're not able to do that, just be looking online, taking care of yourself, asking questions where you can, and just trying to learn about your body and make sure that you're healthy and taking care of yourself. It could be muscle aches, it could be something more serious. Just take it seriously and try to work on those things. Well, guys, that is going to wrap up this video. I hope you did enjoy, but those are some things that I've kind of been working on in my life that I've been feeling a lot better about since I started taking into consideration. So, some of those things might not work for everybody. Some of those things can work for everybody. If you want to pick and choose some, be my guest, but I would recommend trying to stay focused on all of those things. And of course, if you do need some new products, Manscaped is the sponsor of this video, so I do appreciate that a ton. If you want to check it out, link in the description down below, and use the code BOOTS20 for 20% off and free shipping. Not a bad deal at all, if I do say so myself. But that's going to wrap up this video. Please do drop a like if you'd enjoyed, subscribe to stay updated with future videos, and of course follow me on social media. It'll be on the screen and in the description down below. But other than that, guys, I will see you later. Thanks for watching. Peace.